First thing we're going to do here is let's make a box, and we're going to make this thing like 5 by 5 because that's about the size we need it. And so 5 by 5 by 5, like so. And let's get me a white color here. Boom. If you hold your Alt, and it gives you that little pointy thing, little dapper, and you can pick up other stuff from everywhere else. So change your texture. Okay, so we got a 5 by 5 by 5, and basically what I want to do is I'm going to take this center port and I'm going to hit delete. And that's going to delete out my center. All right, now I'm going to take my selection tool and select that whole entire box. And once I have this box selected, I'm going to take my smooth tool and I'm going to hit it just a few times. That's 3, 4. That's probably a little bit. Okay, that'll do. We'll leave it at that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our selection tool again, and I'm going to select this whole entire center section. And I'm going to do a copy, and then I'm going to paste it right here next to it. Now, as you can tell here, there's a hole right there in the center. Okay? So basically, after smoothing it, it's compressed everything flat, and in the smoothing process, it's kind of closed it up on the inside just to try to make that rounded outside edge. So now we have that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is let's take our add tool, and we can put it down in various areas, and if you can really look close at this, it's starting to make some funky shapes. You know, you have like a pushed in type area like that. All right, let's back out of that and go back to our standard little pokey hole, and you can also go in the opposite direction like this, and pretty much does the same thing, but all the corners are in different areas. Okay, the next thing we can do is take our delete tool, and we can chop out pretty much those same locations, and this is the same way they used to make like floor tiles. And as you can tell, there are some deformations in it, but let's see here. That's not going to work. So let's Z back out of this. But if I take my paintbrush and I paint it, you see you start to get in that effect. So the next thing we want to do is we want to recreate this thing here. So let's get back down to my little 5 by 5, and we're going to make another 5 by 5 like so. Okay, and I'm going to fill this up. Let's go with my old coloring again, and this time I want to take this same shape that I have here, and let's get this thing looking back the way it did before as well. So we have this little itty bitty, let me get back around so you can see it. We have this itty bitty hole, but what I want to do is take this panel of a 5 by 5 and shrink down that center voxel as small as possible. So I'm going to take this that is unchanged, I'm going to copy it, and again I'm going to paste it on both sides of this unchanged 5x5. Boom. Now, basically what I've done right now is I've forced that center 5x5 to conform to this 5x5. So that center voxel of the 5x5, 5 this way, 5 this way, that meeting point in the center should have been compressed down into very thin voxel. So I'm going to take my selection tool here and let me get something where, okay, there we go. I'm going to take this and I'm going to push it in to that center area like so. It's the very center voxel. And if I copy this and then I paste it out here, you see I have a voxel that's basically been compressed. And this is an anti-voxel. It is not a microvoxel. Now, well, you know, you kind of think about it, well, isn't that the same thing? No, it's not. And the reason being is the outside edges, I don't know if I can even get close enough or whatnot, the edges work differently. If I select this, I copy it, let me paste it here, and let's rotate this thing. That is on the ground. And if you notice, it doesn't pull up the floor. And this is the same exact technique that I used to make the Anti Voxel Nailbed. And to make that type of effect, you know, I made a square box. I bring it up and I fill it up with something, and basically I took that anti-voxel right there and I double stack it like so. And now I select both of these, copy, and let's change the texture on this to a wood or something so you can be able to see a little bit better. Take this here, drop it down 1, go over 3, go over 3, 3, 3, and 3. So basically I made this little design. Now if I take my paintbrush and let's go back to my white, you see I'm able to actually paint that those design patterns straight on there. I think I skipped 4 over here, didn't I? Yep, a little bit too far, but you kind of get the idea. It's the same way I made the little nail boards. But that is pretty much it in a nutshell. So that is anti-voxels. But the coolest thing about this is some of the things that you can do with it. Now let me take this anti-voxel again that I have here. Let me copy this, and I'm going to create a board over here on the side. And I'm going to paste this anti-voxel onto the wall. And if I go over 1 voxel, and 1 voxel, 1 voxel, 1 voxel, you can see that you can actually make like panels that actually are up against the wall and it doesn't deform it. So you can actually build like, let's see, that's not where I wanted it. Let's go out 1. Make sure I got this thing level. Like so. It's wanting to fight with me. Yeah. You can make like shelving systems or something like that that are mounted up on the wall and they're really thin. And it works the same way as the anti-voxel. But the difference in between this and, say I take a standard voxel right here, and let's paint it so we can see it. All right, now if I take this and I select it, and then I take my smooth tool and I hit it like so, you see how it's a square now. And to get the same effect as this over here, we have to copy and let's paste it. Make sure I get it right. To get the pretty much the same effect, but this right here is two voxels literally side by side. I can select that one up against a wall, or I can select the one that's out farther away. With this right here, if I select it, if you look at it really close, you see it only comes from the very center portion of the voxel space into the selection area of another one to the center of it. And that is the reason why, if you take this section, let me select this, if I copy this and put it up against the wall, like so, if I hit my checkbox, it pulls it, it distorts it, it actually pulls the actual wall into where that center section is on that particular voxel. So that is the difference in between an anti-voxel and your regular voxels. So